Alright, so this is the mini Necronomicon notebook that we're going to make today. I've gotten this small sized composition notebook from Walgreens, I think, but you can also get it at Walmart. They're real inexpensive. Just grab a few. So what I've done is I have taken a Sharpie, I've made an outline of the eyes, nose, and mouth of the Necronomicon where I wanted them, and just kind of taken the hot glue and started drawing around the features and then adding some extra lines, some different wrinkles, and some extra texture. You'll see that I build on top of the hot glue a bit, so I'll let it dry real quick or cool, and then I'll add some more on top just to raise up some of the features a little bit more, say around the eyes and the nose and the mouth, and creating kind of a so it doesn't look like it's just been layered or just been drawn on there. You want to kind of get an organic look to the texture of the cover. So now what I've done is I want to mache. I'm going to use tissue mache, the kind that you would use in a gift bag, a little bit of white glue and a little bit of water. You want to add enough of the glue wash just to cover in all the texture there, because the tissue mache, you crinkle it all up so that it gets all those wrinkles in there, and you just lay it down on top of it and press it flat. You want wrinkles in this, but what you do now is you get the brush, it's a little wet, and you can go ahead and just tap it down, and what it's doing is it's kind of melting that tissue right over all the texture. And you can just do this and do a few more layers. I'm putting in some cardstock here that I forgot to do at the beginning, so that I can keep that from gluing all the pages together. And then yeah, you can take some of the edges off if you'd like, just using a little bit of a kind of like a damp brush there, just getting it wet enough to peel off, because then you can kind of layer. And I like to add a couple of layers of tissue just so that I can make sure that I have enough kind of folds and wrinkles so that it looks like skin and it doesn't just look like a covered up piece of cardstock with hot glue on it. So this kind of gives it a more realistic look. It also strengthens the actual cover because you're using layers of glue and a mache to it as well. But still, the cover stays pretty flexible, so it'd be okay even if the cardstock of the cover gets a little bit wet and it looks like it's warping as it's drying. You can bend this back into shape no problem. Plus, you don't want it brand new looking anyway, because this is a Necronomicon. So carefully just go ahead and layer a little bit more and keep dabbing it down using a light mixture between the water and the white glue. And you can see here that I've gotten a nice layer there. Oop, and it's up on my thumb. So now comes the black coating. We're going to take a black paint. You can go straight black, or you can add a little, water it down just a little bit. But we kind of want to make sure that we cover up all the color. And this will also give any color that you put on top of it, the browns and the reds that we're going to use, it gives it a little bit darker tone to the entire thing. So you can see we've done the inside cover here. I'm not sure if you saw that on this previously, but went ahead and did the same tissue mache on the inside covers of all these. So if you do it carefully, I'm kind of rushing on this one, but if you do it carefully, you can go ahead and black bomb the entire cover, inside and out, and just set it up on its end to dry in front of a fan. That's what I usually do, just because it tends to dry pretty quickly. And at this point I'm making a few of these at a time, so a fan is always helpful. Okay, so now we're going to add a couple of layers of brown. I start with a darker brown. I've got a couple here. One's more of a red brown, and then a little bit of red as well, just because you kind of want to give it a bit of a dark flesh undertone. This is dry. It's supposed to be like dried skin, but you still want a little bit of a creepiness to it. So I like to add, and this also adds a little bit of depth, to go ahead and add in your dark browns, add in a little bit of light, maybe a red brown and the red there, and splotches too. So a lot of this isn't really brushing on the color, it's more like dabbing on the color. And with this you can be fairly light-handed with it, because it depends on how much black you want to show underneath. What I've done here is I've gone ahead and taken a towel and kind of dabbed off a little bit of the browns, try and mix the colors in a little bit more and have some of the black showing through. Now doing the same for the back and the inside covers, trying to get that, and it doesn't matter if it's, you can blend all the colors together in different ways. Of course, the back might have a different tone or different color pattern than the front, as well as the inside covers as well. So I added a little bit of red there. You can see to add maybe a little bit more drama to the back, as if there was blood at some point dried on there. And again, being careful, you can manage to do the outside and the inside covers. Alright, so now I'm going to take a little bit of just a lighter tan. This is you can use a camel or an ivory. You can blend it now with a little bit of a darker brown if you'd like. I'm just going straight with this, more of a dusty kind of tone with it, but it is a dry brush, so you're going to want to have a nice dry brush and just go over it, and as you do, you're going to start seeing all the texture pop. You can see all the wrinkles from the tissue mache, and you're going to see the details from the hot glue that you used. And you can detail it out. And what I've done here too, the great thing about going light is that I'm able to add in some of these red tones, and you're going to actually be able to see it. So I'm just kind of going nuts with it here a little bit, just to dry brush and get all those great textures out. It's a kind of a fun feeling to do when you're dry brushing. I always love that. But get creative with it and really make it your own. Different tones for different parts of the book. And then you can, like I said right there, bend it back. It dries really quick this way as well. And yeah, there you got your details. So now I want to kind of highlight some of the features, the eyes, nose, and the mouth. And you can do this a number of different ways too. What I like to do with this is a little bit of a black wash that I kind of let dry right in there. And this just kind of highlights so that it kind of separates the dry brushing and the other features of the book. And again, you can get creative with this as well. If you want to straight paint in there, you can. If you want to do an eyeball, I know that there's Necronomicons that have eyes in there. You can get creative with that as well. A little bit of hot glue will help make an eyeball in one of them, and you can not only use your black wash, you can give it a nice white milky coating over the eye. But this one we left without the eye, and I just want to get a little bit of black wash in there to give it a little bit of depth. And you can see I'm going into some of the cracks here just to touch up and highlight some of those indentations. Now if you do go over, again, this black wash you can dab out with a towel if you get too much on there, or with a brush. You can also just let it dry, and you'll see that it doesn't really take, it highlights where it concentrates really. But then you can go back over it and dry brush even more tones to it if you'd like to do that as well. This is where it really starts to come to, well, I would say life, but maybe, yeah, the opposite of that. But yes, the details are really fun to do in here. Now this is this next step really, once you've got all this done, if you like the matte look, you can leave it just matte and not treat it anymore, or you can use a matte kind of acrylic. What I've done here is I've used a water-based acrylic. This one happens to be a gloss, and I'm just doing this for these small notebooks because I think they tend to be handled a little bit more, so it kind of protects them a little bit more, keeps that from rubbing off, and kind of again strengthens the cardstock of the covers because they're not that thick. It's not like you're doing this like the book, like I've done before with a regular book. This is still going to be flexible, but it is pretty cool to look at. It still opens up. You can use all the pages, write in all your evil arcane spells and whatever you want to do with the Necronomicon notebook. But that's it. Pretty simple. Hope you guys like it. Check it out. Subscribe, like, and all that good stuff. Worlds of Wayncraft. We'll see you next time.
You want to craft, kitty? You want to craft? No. You want a nap. Great.